Now that we have done the planning, let's move to the production phase. Very important to engage this production. Again, now that you will have hire a lot of the staff to do the planning, but already staff to do the execution will be coming on board. And the beginning of a production, this is the time for another type of kickoff, which is where now you're bringing the whole team together, sharing with them the concept, sharing everything we know about them, get them all excited, and move on. Later on, I'm going to be talking about soft skills. This is where your soft skills got to kick in, okay? And team management is going to be important for you to, when you start the production, having the core team there, the director of creation, artistic director of production, having all the key leaders there with all the people, and moving into starting something very exciting, which is a new production for a new show or a new video games or whatever is your creative project you're working on. So production is a very important piece is there, and in the production, of course, the first thing that's going to happen will be the design. We have a concept so far. We have done some planning, but now it's time to really get the design of each element and try to see, what are we going to need to really buy to make this element happening. So things such as the creation is going to start. Director creation's got to look and coordinate with all the different designers to make sure that the whole design fits together, is integrated together. The artistic will look at how to integrate the different designs element with the actual performance. So there's a lot of things that needs to come together, and that's why your key leaders are very important people to make sure that everybody is working in the same direction. If you have a music composer, well, what he's composing is tied to the story and is tied to what the actual action on stage is, what the artistic director wants to do. So if it's an act that is going very fast, the music's got to go fast. If an act that is going in the air and is very slow, of course, needs to be adapted this way. Costume designer needs to follow. Everybody that has a piece of design needs to contribute. Certain design will come later, for example, makeup, and certain costume will come later. But the thing is, the key thing will be the scenery, the videos, the technical equipment aspect, the rig. All of this needs to be really well taught, because going out of the design will be a period where we're going to have to start engaging vendors in order for us to acquire the equipment that we need, acquire all the tools also we need. We will also start engaging what we call the casting, to start finding people to actually do the roles that we need to be done with the artistic team. We're going to also engage people in other area to start looking into refining their design for each piece of it. Like, for example, the costume might be one, the props might be one. So everybody will start working with the piece of the design they have based on the schedule and the budget that we have allocated to everybody. So this production is going to grow very fast in terms of people, adding people as we go, and your staff management will have to be very precise. All the contract also will have to follow very quick. If you're going to hire people to do certain tasks, of course, you're going to have to sign a contract with them. You can't get bogged down on negotiation for a lot of the time. But keep in mind, a lot of these production that we're going to be doing in a creative world, people are not going to become employee. You're going to hire them as a contractual. They will come, do their work, and then go. So it's a team that we're building and disbanding at the end. So the whole aspect of contracts becoming very important. Having contracts that are ready with standard clause, we understand. So there's maybe a negotiation, in terms of payment terms or in terms of what's included and what's not included. But the point is that we got to go very fast with these contracts so we can secure people and secure them on board. Some of the resources that we have to deal with, we're going to have to start, negotiating with them way before the design. Why? Because certain resources that we want, they might not be available by the time we want if we wait too long. So you know, some people's are booked for a year and a half, 2 years in advance. So if you're waiting to contact them and engage them, you'll see they're not available anymore. So this whole idea of once the design advanced enough and hiring the people and bringing them or securing their commitment to when they're going to come on board, that's going to be a very big challenge right from as soon we start in order to make sure that we got the people coming on board. The last thing we need is people not being able to come on board. With the contract, if you're working in other countries, so for example, we're doing show in China, well, you need to think about also visa, right? What kind of visa do they need? And then what kind of regulation they need to follow? Do they need to pay tax in the local country? So all of this needs to be, you know, thought and secure before you go too far in the process. And if you don't know how the rules work, again, we're talking about stakeholders. You didn't know how the visa work, and you don't understand all the rules of the game, you might end up delaying the project because of the production, because you can have the people here because they couldn't get the visa or they're not available. So all of this is a big project by itself. The director of production will take care of the production. The technical director will take care of the technical part. Of course, you will have the people that will take care of the construction if you have a theater, and there might be a full team there with architect and everybody that will already be going and start building the infrastructure. And then you have a team of engineers that will be working the equipment that will feed in the theater. So all of this start, okay, and all of this is going. And at that time, you are one of the guys that manage a lot of the people that are managing a lot of the people. My goal as an executive producer is to understand what staff do we need, you know, with the different directors, what staff do we need and when do they need them, and making sure that people shows up as they should be. Because if they don't show up, people will be late. And a lot of the time, the name of the game is not to do the job, is to get the people on site so they could understand where we are and actually do the work. Because a lot of the time we're going to be hiring people that knows what they're doing. So as executive producer, understand the whole staff management plan and make sure a resource, and we got the casting in place, we got the human resource in place, we have everybody that is supposed to hiring people, bring them on board, contracts are signed, you know, and we're moving along. Other process that's very important to follow is the whole procurement aspect. A lot of the time we need to go with bid, you know, request for quotation or request for proposal, you know, RFI also might be in play, you know, request for information. So all of these process needs to work in parallel and make sure that they happen, because if we got one of these things that goes off the window, some equipment that do not shows up, or the process of contracting is difficult, we cannot secure the vendor, then that will impact your schedule, that will impact the artistic, that will impact everything. So again, procurement is key, make sure that everything is successful. So your job is to overlook all of this, but like I said, don't focus on what the people are doing as job. You have directors to do that. Focus on making sure the people are there, because that's one thing that is hurting a lot the business in our schedule, is people are not available at the time we need, and that creates a problem, and it's very difficult to recover from that.